Welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. And today we're going to talk about another United States of America immigration issue. We're talking about taking away someone's citizenship, not your green card, your citizenship, and then removing members of your family who have green cards as well because they are guilty by association. In other words, one person in your family goes out and does something wrong against the government of the United States of America, and the entire family is subject to lose their green card and even their citizenship, their naturalization status. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, here we go again with the fear-mongering. That can't happen, SouFlo. Stop making people scared. Okay, we're going to draw from one specific recent case, and it is only 1 month old. Bear with me as I tell you this story, okay? And I will also tell you the source. Somewhere in the middle of all this information, the source is always relieved or released to the people who actually listen to the show. That way, you know where I'm getting it from, and it's not just made up. But if you don't listen from the beginning to the end, then normally you're going to be one of them in the comment section. Where did you get this information from? The information is always given, but it's only given to those who listen from beginning to end. Okay? Now, this is where my everything is, says this person. U.S. citizen who's suddenly facing deportation. Apparent targeting of family whose relatives was convicted of terror attack prompts accusations of collective punishment, is what it's being called. One person does something wrong, they take the whole family out. A New Yorker who gained U.S. citizenship, listen carefully, the story begins. A New Yorker who gained U.S. citizenship as a child is currently facing deportation. Gained citizenship as a child is currently facing deportation. This person is no longer a child. This person is a grown adult. This person came here as a child, gained citizenship as a child, and is now an adult who is married with his own family and is facing deportation and his citizenship revoked. A New Yorker who gained U.S. citizenship as a child is currently facing deportation, along with several green card holding members of his family, after apparent targeting by the Trump administration in what the family believes is a clear case of anti-Muslim bias. So it's a Muslim family, okay? And I know a lot of people are tuning out right now because they're saying, well, we're Christians and it can't happen to us. Pay attention. None of the individuals have a criminal record, not one. And they say that the Department of Homeland Security also raised questions about the validity of their immigration status after another relative was arrested following a terrorist incident in the city. The government actions have alarmed advocates and have led them to accusing officials of meting out unfair collective punishment. So a little incident went down in the city. I believe it was a bombing or whatever. And one of their relatives was scooped up in the process. And now the whole family must pay. They have been here for a long time and their status has never been questioned. They've been able to travel, live their life as citizens and permanent residents with all the benefits that come along with it. And then suddenly, boom, we don't think your paperwork was valid. You mean from I was a child? Yes. Okay, so Hassan Yula, who's 32 years old now, he's an electrician from Brooklyn, New York, and he was placed in immigration detention in Kearny, New Jersey on October 22nd. He spent about 4 weeks in immigration detention, separated from his wife and his 3 children, before he was released, but he was not released unconditionally. He was released on bond pending the outcome of his case. So now they actually have a deportation case against him that he has to fight. And he is a citizen. He has been a citizen since he was a child. Here we go. They also did this to 4 of his other relatives who all hold green cards. And they are also fighting government efforts to ship them out of the United States of America. Since Trump came into office, the number of such denaturalization, which is the process of taking away someone's citizenship, since Trump came into office, the number of such denaturalization and citizenship revocation cases filed by Department of Homeland Security has surged, meaning it has gone up tremendously. Citizenship is permanently conditional. Listen to that. Citizenship, because a lot of people think, oh, I have my citizenship, I'm forever okay. No, your citizenship is permanently conditional. Okay? As long as you were not born here, it is permanently conditional. For many who were not born in the United States, said Afed Ahmed, which is an executive director of the advocacy group Desis Rising Up and Moving Drum, which has been providing support to the Eula family. At a time when we are seeing a white nationalist current in government and society that wants to depopulate communities of color from this country, these cases are an indication of how their tactics and their attacks are evolving. Hassan was born in Bangladesh, and he was adopted by his uncle at a very young age. After the uncle won a U.S. visa through the diversity lottery program, Hassan was granted a green card. He migrated to the U.S. at 8 years old, and he became a U.S. citizen 7 years after 8 years old. So he has been a citizen since he was 15 years old. Okay, he's 32 now, and he is facing getting his citizenship taken away because of the actions of a family member who he is related to by blood, but not by actions. Meanwhile, his uncle successfully petitioned to also bring his sister, his biological mother, and 4 siblings to the country as permanent residents in 2011. The family assumed their future in the U.S. was secured. They focused on going to school, building careers, starting families. Hassan became an electrician, got married, and had 3 children. But everything changed on December of 2017 when one of Hassan's brothers, Akayed, was arrested for detonating a homemade pipe bomb in a crowded New York City subway station. He was the only person that was injured when he detonated that pipe bomb. Authorities are calling that a botched attack. In other words, he tried to hurt other people, he just didn't do it right, and he ended up blowing up and hurting himself. Family members both in the US and in Bangladesh were questioned, and no one was found to have assisted the 27-year-old or to be supportive of his terrorist organization links. Akayed was convicted of several terrorism offenses, and in 2018, then he will be sentenced in February. Sharon, Hassan's wife, 30, Sharon, who is Hassan's wife, who is 30, said that the day Akayed was arrested, that the rest of the family was in utter shock, that they could not believe what they were hearing, because no one in the family is like this. They came to the U.S. very young. They assimilated into the culture. Yes, they're still Muslims. They kept their religion. They kept their customs, their foods, etc., their music, but they're essentially Americans. They have all been Americanized, right? For the last 3-4 months, we've just been in total disbelief. We didn't think that he was capable of any such thing. From the moment of Akayed's arrest, other family members say that despite being cleared by law enforcement, they began to see consequences. Check it out. Hassan encountered receiving a letter from the bank notifying him that his personal and his business banking accounts would be closed immediately, and that the FBI had put his business license on hold. That's immediately. Wary clients canceled their contracts. Of course, your business license is on hold, right? So, and your business bank account is frozen, so is your personal bank account. And of course, your clients need their work done, but you can't because you have a frozen business number. So you cannot operate under that number. So he started losing his clients. So wary clients started losing their contracts. He said his mother and siblings would see New York Police Department squad cars parked regularly near the building where they live or other places that they frequented, to include going to the mosque. They would see police cars following them to the mosque, which they had never seen before. And to some extent, let's be honest, I mean, your brother who is close to your family just detonated a bomb in a New York City subway. I would be paranoid as hell too. So as a law enforcement officer doing my job, then I would be staking out and checking out the rest of the family members as well. I don't know if you're a sleeping cell that has been ordered to rise up and member after member will be detonating bombs all around the city. So to some degree, you cannot actually be mad at law enforcement for doing their jobs. But I think stripping someone of their citizenship and their green cards and returning them to whatever country they came from at 8 years old, now that they're 32 years old and had never returned to that place, that is a little bit out there. What says you? Leave your comment in the comment section below. Then, in April of 2019, Assad received a letter out of the blue from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, part of the Department of Homeland Security, stating that the agency had planned to cancel his U.S. citizenship on the grounds that it was not lawfully obtained. Imagine that. And remember, he came to the U.S. at 8 years old. He got a green card at 8 years old. 7 years later, at 14 or 15 years old, he got citizenship. Now he is 32, and the USCIS has given him a letter saying they're planning to cancel his citizenship because they think that he did not receive it lawfully. In a panic, his mother and his siblings, they applied for their citizenship, but they soon also received news that not only had their applications been denied, but that the Department of Homeland Security intended to revoke their green cards as well. Wow. On the 6th of November, Eulah's mother and one of his sisters were detained for a few days. After all this time, we had mentally and physically bonded with this country, and we love this country so much, says Afaya, which is Afsan's 22-year-old sister, the day she was released from ICE detention. How can you disown a person just like that? In other words, they're feeling like the U.S. has disowned them. They are guilty by association. The family is now trying to fight the agency's orders because they have been given deportation orders. They have been given orders. They have been given in writing the intent of USCIS, United States Immigration and Department of Homeland Security, intention to strip them of their citizenship and strip them of their green card as well. So the family is now trying to fight the agency's orders. In paperwork issued to the family, which was reviewed by The Guardian, the Department of Homeland Security claims that Ashan, his mother, and the siblings have no legal or biological relationship to the uncle whose original success in the green card lottery facilitated the others from settling in the U.S. So that's the angle that they're drawing, because the first angle they used was that you are the relative of a terrorist that tried to detonate a bomb in a New York City subway, and he failed. He blew up and injured himself, and he will now be facing prison time in the United States of America. However, since we cannot get you on that, how about this? The person who brought you here when you were 8 years old and then subsequently brought your mom and your sisters over years later, that person is not really your uncle. That's what the paperwork says. The family and their advocate said that the treatment, listen, the Department of Homeland Security paperwork says his mother and siblings have no legal or biological relationship to the uncle whose original success in the green card lotto facilitated the others settling into the U.S. Wow. So no legal or biological relationship. And that's the angle that they're going. But the family is saying they've been searching for some reason to strip them of their paperwork and send them back ever since their brother did what he did. The family and their advocates said that the treatment amounts to collective punishment, basically. This is retribution for sharing the same DNA as someone who is accused of terrorism, Assange said in a phone call from the Hudson County Correctional Facility in New Jersey just before his release from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, detention. I've been here in this country since I was a kid, 8 years old. My school is here. My college is here. My family is here. My business is here. He's an independent electrician contractor, right? My friends are here. He has 3 children. He's married. My career is here, he said. This is where my everything is. Department of Homeland Security has declined to comment on the family's case. What's happening to the Ulaw family is not an isolated case for those of you who might not know it. A report by the Open Society Justice Initiative in September found that the Trump administration had filed 3 times more civil denaturalization cases, which amounts to about 30 per year. Under the Trump administration, it's been about 30 a year, stripping people of their American citizenship at the rate of about 30 per year. So 30 times 4, you do the math, you went to school, 30 times 4. Right? Then if he is in office for 8 years, we can say 30 times 8 at the least. The average annual number pursued under the 8th presiding president. So, nearly half of all the persons targeted for denaturalization in 2017 and 2018 came from special interest countries, a label that is used to identify nations with presumed links to terrorism, including Bangladesh, the report said, which amounted to a policy of collective suspicion. Manar Wahid, the senior legislative and advocacy counsel of the American Civil Liberties Union, said that the data indicates that the same communities that this administration has targeted over and over again are being singled out. Hassan said that while he was in detention, he missed the moment when his 7-month-old son, Baba, said Baba for the first time, which is father. I'm just surprised by all this. Speaking from the detention facility before he was released on bond, he said, I'm just surprised by all this. I mean, I pay my taxes. I've never done anything wrong, not even a traffic ticket. I try to be a good model citizen. I've been here since I was a child, and I'm here, sitting in a detention center. The administration has threatened to deport the family members unless they can prove their relationships are what they have long claimed had not been challenged by the authorities before. The family is hoping that they can reverse the Trump administration actions by submitting challenges to the USCIS appeal office, contesting their deportation orders in immigration court, and, if necessary, filing civil motions in federal court. But They are dismayed by the turns of events and very nervous at this point because anything can happen. Shireen said, you can play everything by the books and they will still get you, is what Shireen said. So, with that said, I'm going to say this to my audience, my audience is mainly from the Caribbean diaspora, Jamaica, and all other Caribbean islands and backgrounds. I will say this. You can play everything by the books and still end up where this family ended up. So, basically, this is a guilty by association thing. It's what your family members are into that can come back to affect the outcome of your life. So, as I close these videos, the purpose of this video is to educate and to inform. Okay? All right. Walk good, my people. One love. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.